Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. The Nation newspaper has its banner headline, Tinubu orders deployment of AI-enabled cameras in Plateau. Attacks, wounds happen again. Army moves in additional 850 troops. Next is the Observer Times. Plateau killings. Tinubu orders 5,000 CCTV cameras installed at crime hotspots. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, sends 850 elite troops to restore calm. Escalating tension prompt major security reinforcement. The Blueprint newspaper, Jaws attack. Tinubu orders security agencies to hunt down killers. Direct installation of 5,000 surveillance cameras. Army deploys additional 850 troops in Plateau. Next is Nigeria News Direct. 2027, INEC move triggers ADC APC clash as presidency clarifies status quo ante. David Mark decries assault on democracy. Crisis is self-inflicted, APC says, as federal government rejects electoral interference claims. This Nigeria, ADC APC in verbal war over INEC party crisis. Umpire biased, should resign, say opposition party. You're architect of your woes, APC. I won't quit, I'm not quit on. And the Punch newspaper, 2027 battle. INEC under fire as ADC crisis worsen. INEC defends Mark Aregbesol's recognition. Opposition leaders demand Amopiton sack. And ADC defies INEC, insists convention will hold as planned. Utomi Ezekwesili, others warn INEC, APC against stifling opposition. Interesting. Now the Friday, Leadership Friday, says ADC, legal experts split over INEC's delisting of Mark Aregbesola. Amopiton must resign now, says ADC. Resignation call, a distraction and assault on INEC's independence. That's according to INEC's chair. And the Platform Times. Scrap multi-level election appeals. Jonathan tells National Assembly. And the Guardian newspaper, legacy of waste. Inside Nigeria's mega refineries, gulping billions, producing nothing. And Weekend Hope, looting, burglaries in Ondo communities traced to scavengers. That's according to investigation. Victims recount looting, near fatal assaults. And last but not least is the Sport Alive. 180 minutes in 2 games. Atletico blasts NFF over Lukman's game time. Interesting twist we're having, or reporting, or reportage we're getting from different newspapers this morning. But if you look at, okay, I'll be doing this with Etoma, Ria, and Olamide, as we can see. Now, the Nation newspaper, ditto the Observer Times, Blueprint newspaper, Nigeria News Direct, This Nigeria, the Punch newspaper, Leadership Friday, all talking about the halabalu created by INEC's the recognition of the ADC. Indeed, David Mark and Aregbesol's led ADC. And okay, no, that's not the case. The case is actually Tinubu ordering deployment of AI-enabled cameras in Plateau State, as we can see on the front page of the Nation newspaper. So this is the president speaking, bold, speaking tough against the criminals that had attacked caused chaos, killings, and all of that, not just in Plateau, in Kaduna, in Kwara, etc. And said this time around, we are installing, starting from Plateau State, installing 5,000 cameras, across Plateau Metropolis and some other places in order to track these people real time so that we can get them and deal decisively with them.
I wish the cameras had been installed before this. It would have been very easy for security forces to identify and arrest other people. It is good that we are having those cameras installed now, and Mr. President has to not only think of just, you said starting with Plateau State, because every state in Nigeria needs that. Every state in Nigeria needs that. And then every state needs a command center where all those cameras are connected to, and we can use it for a whole lot of things: medical emergencies, accidents on the roads, criminality, and so on and so forth. Those cameras are very, very necessary for every state to have them. Thank God it's starting in Plateau State. But without the cameras, how do we get the perpetrators? I hear some were arrested, and I was asking myself, how did they do it? You know, well, I'm not a security man. They have their ways of doing stuff like that. But the continuous and brazen killing of innocent Nigerians, and those guys that do it, I wonder what goes through their minds. You go into a town, somebody that has done nothing, absolutely nothing to you, somebody that's going about his or her business, you shoot the person dead. What is going on? And the way it is, the fact that it's happening back to back, it's really worrisome.
Absolutely. Ria, if you look at the Observer Times, it's also saying the same thing. You know, Plateau killing, Tinubu orders 5,000 CCTV cameras installed at the crime hotspots. And we see the Chief of Army Staff sending 850 elite troops to restore calm. And we know there's a presence to AI-enhanced, security, camera, which is actually existing in Lagos and Enugu. It's so good if we have it all across the nation, and that would definitely help us to fight insecurity.
So for me, I'll begin with what happened, in Angwarukuba is something that I hope and I pray does not happen again. And I'm saying this on TV today. There is no government that will be excited that people are dying. It's not possible. So contrary to, I understand that Nigerians are tired. I'm tired as well. I was speaking about it the other day, and I'm like, when you see all those bodies on the floor, you get irritated. Like, you just get it up to here. But I was reading comments on social media too as well, and I worry about the way we reason. If the president hadn't gone there, it would have been a problem. Now the president went is still a problem. I watched everything he said fully. I saw that the lady that lost her son, may his soul rest in peace. I saw how he spoke to her. He told her, there's no amount of money I can give you than just to, give you my condolences. And that is actually the truth. I said it here the other day that there's no amount of money we can give these people that have lost, their loved ones. So first of all, we need to shift that conversation from, when we don't like a government, we are always punching at the government, rather forgetting the most important issue. The president was there. He cancelled his trip, to Ogun State, if I'm correct. Suspended his trip to Ogun State, if I'm correct. Ogun, right? To get to, to just Plateau, just to see these people. Let them know that your president cares about you. Now, talking about this camera, I think that is something that we should have done like yesterday, and I always say we shouldn't wait until something happens. Like, we should be very, very active, because we know that we're in very peculiar times. So it's beautiful that if we have these cameras, it's installed, it's more easier. These people now know that you cannot just attack anywhere like that. Right. From what Thomas said, you wonder what do these people think? And then again, that's why I asked our guest yesterday that, would you say that this is a sabotage, to this government? And I said it because I'm wondering what would a normal human being think that we're seeing this reoccurrence happen when we're just going into election year. So there are a lot of things that we need to put in place into this. But what I'll tell Nigerians today, that it's more than just criticizing because you don't like this particular president. Absolutely. It goes more than that. Yeah,
if you look at the Blueprint newspaper, Nigerian News Direct, Nigerian News Direct, not Nigerian News Direct, actually, Blueprint newspaper, saying the same thing. And talking about cameras, we saw that, there was supposed to be a deployment of cameras in Abuja, but that project was actually, flopped because of corruption. But it's good that beyond seeking to work on the security architecture, the president also ordered the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction to compile data on victims to guide government intervention and relief efforts. So we're not just doing infrastructure, we're seeing how to better your lives.
Absolutely. This is as much a technological problem as it is a social one, Ibrahim. And I'll start from the matters arising. I first want to say that this initiative by the president, it is very, very welcome. It's time that we start applying technology to help these communities. But when we look at the nature of the attacks that are happening, they're mostly happening in rural, ungoverned spaces. So the question we must now ask ourselves is, can urban or modern surveillance technology help rural problems like this one, rural attacks? Most of these areas are in unforested, ungoverned, most of these attacks are in ungoverned spaces. Is this enough to really, and when we look at the nature of AI-enabled cameras, they require stable power, they require data infrastructure, they require rapid response system that should anything be seen on that CCTV, you have people that are deployed on ground in the matter of seconds or minutes that can intervene on those attacks. So if all those things, if we don't have a technological ecosystem that supports these cameras to work, it's just passive recording. Although I will say I understand where the president is coming from.
That's right.
And it's very, very important when we look at the nature of AI-enabled tech, we have to apply solutions to problems that are, I don't know how to put this. Let's think of the nature of these attacks and let's ask ourselves if these AI-enabled cameras are what these people really need. I'll also come to the fact that this is a social problem, and what I mean by that is an AI-enabled camera can record anything it wants to record. If these people are caught and you have one terrorism financier somewhere saying, leave them there, my boys, it means nothing in the grand scheme of
things. But I think the AI-enabled camera definitely works, because I know for a fact that's what Israel uses, you know, and it really works. So it maps your face, tracks your, you know, activities and all of that.
Just to say something quickly, I know, but quickly, I feel like, Olamide, we need to start somewhere. Absolutely. And at this point, I said anything that we can deploy to make sure that we eradicate insecurity in Nigeria.
Like I said, it's a very well
guys, because of our time, if you look at this Nigeria, the Punch newspaper, the Leadership Friday, they're all talking about, you know, politics of things. You know, Ria and Etoma will talk about these. Olamide, I'll come to you with the Platform Times. So ADC and APC and verbal war over INEC party, you know, crisis. Umpire biased should resign, say opposition party. You're architect of our woes. That's according to the APC. I won't quit. Saying, see, in none of the things that you say, I'm actually following the law. The law says revert to status quo ante bellum, meaning that before David Mark and Arebeshala assumed the position as leaders, there was a resignation of Ralph what was his name, you know, in all of that. So this actually predated, you know, your assumption to this position. So, but then the oppositions are not really having it. They're accusing INEC of, you know, bias, or, you know, for parties that are not able to manage their own internal crisis.
Well, a lot of people are saying, why delist them now? They have been parading themselves as chairman and secretary.
Parading?
Yes, I think that's the right word to use right now. As a chairman and secretary of the ADC for about 8, 9, over a year now. You know, so why wait till now to do that? That's what a lot of people are quarreling over, and that's where they say Prof is being partisan. But I want to say that people should remember that the INEC chairman is a professor of law. So he must have thought of the legal angle, he must have thought of the backlash.
And even consult the legal advisors to the Independent National Electoral Commission.
He must have done all those before taking that decision.
Absolutely.
And if there is a court ruling on that, I mean, he's a lawyer, he will obey the court.
Absolutely.
And that's what he did.
All right, Ria, let's do this fast. You know, we see the figures in this ADC. Let's talk about Peter Obi, Atiku, even Amechi. These are people, for instance, Peter Obi moving from APGA, even though he swore never to leave APGA. He went to the PDP. PDP became problematic. He left PDP. Labour Party, when he was not even supposed to be presidential candidate, he assumed that level of position, and then he fielded himself for the election in 2023. There was a problem. The moment he got to the ADC, the obedience started attacking, you know, some of the, you know, officials in the ADC, and I remember then the ADC saying that, come on, talk to your attack dogs, and they attacked him back again. These are some of the things, and you know, that is why we're having problems.
If you ask me, I like to call Peter Obi a moving train, because he's always moving from one place to another. You are never sure where he's going. You know, he's in one place, there's dispute there.
No, moving train is a good thing, but it depends on what the train is carrying.
That's what I'm saying. You can be moving to nothing. There are two different things. You can be moving to a good thing, and you can just be moving. You can be moving sporadically to nothing, and that is what I see with him. He doesn't stay. It's just like what we're speaking about, sure. He doesn't stay to fix one thing. When there's a problem, he quickly runs. But I want to touch on this whole INEC issue and saying Professor Joash Amobiton should step down. Why should he step down? What is the reason? And I need Professor Joash to understand that the position that he's holding, a lot of people will criticize him. He needs to understand that not everybody will agree with him. With the whole thing I'm seeing with this parties, it's like you are cooking a soup. The soup is not sweet. You're not blaming another person. It's just like I'm cooking. It's not nice. And I say, Ibrahim, it's your fault. INEC has done nothing wrong. What INEC is doing right now is to put things in place for us to have a credible election in 2027.
That's right.
Because when I see all these, you know, conversations, I'm wondering, is this about democracy or, you know, political struggle, you know, for power? What are we really, you know, fighting about? At the end of the day, when Nigerians go out to vote come 2027, the person that they voted for should be president. So there's a whole lot on Professor Joash Amobita, and I say he cannot fail us at this point. So them telling him to step down is even another conversation that I don't even understand, because he's not stepping down. The most important thing for him is to do a good job and deliver great results for us.
All right, then, let's move on to the Platform Times. Etoma, I'll come to you with the Guardian newspaper, and Ria, Weekend Hope. So the Platform Times is saying, scrap multi-level election appeals. Jonathan tells National Assembly. And he said, I advocate one-stop tribunal for political cases. You know, he said this at Mega Daniel's, you know, birthday party, where he's saying that a constitutional court, for instance, should be established. He suggested that Nigeria should adopt a system similar to Francophone African countries, where specialized constitutional court exclusively handles political and electoral matters, rather than moving from the appeal court down to the Supreme Court, and then you're wasting a whole lot of time.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. In Nigeria, we see that these legal disputes are about elections. Sometimes they can go on for years. By the time it goes to the tribunal, then it goes to the appeal court, then it goes to the Supreme Court. Some of these leaders have actively served the tenure. Yeah. They've already, so you have a situation whereby, Nigerian votes don't automatically immediately influence political outcomes. Yeah. You have a system now where, as opposed to the average Nigerian man being the decider of who a leader is, the courts are the ultimate decider of elections. And it should not be so. We should not be litigating elections. It is the people that are supposed to decide who is leading them, not a court. It should not be so. We should stop litigating our elections.
Makes a whole lot of sense. He
this.
also said that the off-cycle elections should be scrapped. That it's not even something that is of international best practice. All right then, the Guardian newspaper, legacy of waste. Inside Nigeria's mega refineries, gulping billions, producing nothing. So we're talking about the turnaround maintenance that we've done on all our refineries, the national refineries, the Kaduna, Warri, Port Harcourt, and what's the last one? Is it? I just keep my head now. But we spent approximately $25 billion, on turnaround maintenance between 25 to 30 years. Nothing to show for it.
How much altogether is the cost of the Dangote refinery? 20 billion.
So in this case, you can say a paltry 20 billion.
20 billion.
This one is thinking of money.
You know what I'm saying? You see, look at the photograph on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Yeah. It's one of those refineries, rusted, looking like a relic, and so on and so forth. I think the Nigerian government should forget about those refineries. We have the Petroleum Industry Act now that allows for modular refineries and all that. We just need to change the system because the old system is a drain pipe, So let's try something else. If the team is not scoring goals, you substitute.
Most definitely. Ria, very quickly, Weekend Hope is saying looting, burglaries in Ondo communities traced to scavengers. That's according to investigation. Victims recount looting, near fatal assault. Okitipupa tightens control over scavengers. We see all of those scrap metal guys, all of those condemned iron. I think they call them galamsey in Ghana. Yeah. And galamsey is a corruption of English word, get them and sell them. So we see all of this happening everywhere. And these guys are causing problems, not just in Ondo State, even in Lagos.
And I was just about to say this, we should not even just put Ondo in focus because it's happening everywhere. Yeah. And those people, they go to, and this is not me calling them out, but they go to different limits. Like you can see, people are saying they're not even safe, they're not safe in their homes right now in Ondo State, because right now, it's not just about them even picking things, it's about them attacking homes, it's about them, robbing people and hurting people. So at this point, if you ask me, I think because we're seeing a rise of it in Ondo State, the governor now has to put things in place to make sure that the people are safe, because his primary responsibility as governor of that state is to make sure that the citizens are doing okay. If the people are coming out to speak about it now and say, we feel unsafe in our homes, because I was reading a story of someone saying that they even got into her house, and she was wondering, like, we know these people are from outside, now we're seeing them inside our houses. So I think that, the governor of Ondo State needs to put a whole lot in place in terms of, security. What security measures are we taking against these people? What arrests have been made, against the ones that have gone to hurt people? They go as far as, inflicting pain on people.
In fact, there's a story of them even stealing a young girl, kidnapping a young girl, putting her in sack. I've even seen one of them carry huge videos going around. Carry huge generator inside the sack.
Yes, and you wonder how do they have the strength? They have so much strength.
Come on. All right then. Last but not least is the Sport and Life. 180 minutes in 2 games. Atletico blast NFF over Lukman's game time. This Atletico fighting his own, case. I think they spent about 38 million euros, on Lukman, and 35 million euros. And Lukman, the last 2 games that he played for Nigeria, in the friendly matches and all of that he played 180 minutes in 2 matches. You want to kill him? So the fight is between patriotism is our son. We can use him anyhow. Versus the commerce aspect of it. We spent so much on him.
When we look at the fact that Nigerian names are dominating these sports headlines, it tells us everything we need to know. We have global, tangible sporting talent. Right. But I want to address it. I hope they can zoom in on me. The editors of Hope newspaper directly. We need our girls on there. I want to see female Nigerian basketball players.
You mean Sport and Life?
boxing. I want to see women on the front pages of your paper, because every day it's Ademola and Osimhen.
No, so we've seen Osimhen. Osimhen is actually here on the bottom strip. Osimhen opens up on field Nigerian romance. Okay, there are ladies,
on
kids.
field what?
Okay, so you ask me,
you guys will be
You need to complete. You never read a headline without completing the sentence.
All right, then that's about it for the newspapers up for review this morning.